Hello, this is Dale Matthews with Inside News, and Mike and I just were talking, and we've agreed we're ready to do the show now. Mike, are you ready?
Yes, I am. I am ready to do the show now, and which is good because in 5 minutes I might not be. So.
Now, Mike was just telling me that he was watching KTVL, and because we review media here too, and there's this new thing that this Dave DeLarange is doing.
DeRourange. Go figure.
Okay, sorry, pardon me.
Yeah, Frenchies, I mean, what are you going to do? We're being invaded here.
Right. What is he doing now?
Well, he has and this is interesting. If you go on the Facebook page and you go to either Channel 10 or Dave DeRourange's Facebook page, there is a link there when he's doing the news, and he's got a tablet mounted on the table right next to him, shooting up at him, and then you can see his co-host over there while he's doing the news. So you can watch while they're doing the news. You can see him talking to the producer during the breaks and things of that nature. And then they're also recording promos, and I believe even recording the 11 o'clock news during this time slot.
They're recording the 11 o'clock news early?
Yeah, well, I mean, really, what would the point actually be of them being live at 11 o'clock?
Or breaking news, perhaps?
For breaking news.
Now, wait a minute. Mike, what do you have to say about, let's say, a pair of people who might record their 7 o'clock show at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, what is wrong with it? And they're trying to deceive the public. That's what's going on there. Let me tell you.
The reason and you insiders, you already know this, the reason we often will record our show at 6 is, oh, what a shock. Yeah, simmer down.
Or sometimes at 2 in the afternoon, for crying out loud.
We would do that if there was a guest, and we don't want to pre-record something with the guest because we keep rolling, buddy. Let's roll. And if we do it at 6 o'clock, we avoid Netflix. Tell them what this means about avoiding Netflix, please, Mike.
Well, I think it's some crazy thing like 75% or better of internet traffic after a certain period of the evening is Netflix. Netflix and other streaming services are starting to fall into this category, like Amazon Instant Video, Vudu, Hulu. A bunch. There's a ton of streaming services now, and all I can say about that is that in the future, I believe that all TV is going to be delivered in that way, and even local stations. And so they better get to work on bandwidth delivery because it's going to require a lot. But anyway, because of the fact that Netflix uses so much of the bandwidth, and we've noticed that when we start after a certain period of time, we have a lot more circumstances where sometimes we lose the connection right in the middle of the show. That's happened a number of times. And we have less of those occurrences when we start a little bit earlier in the day or pre-tape earlier in the day. So,
Right. So that's why we do that, so that we can present to you an uninterrupted flow of brilliance, or lacking that, some mediocrity.
Yes, right. Yes,
we try. We do try.
Media rocketry. That's what we do here.
That's what we do. That's good, Mike. Good. So we're going to start tonight with a thing from Watching Out for You. What's that TV station? Watching Out for You. This is based on one of their graphics. And because we're going to do some pattern analysis and trend analysis and pattern recognition tonight. Woo, that sounds fascinating. Actually, it's one of some of our most popular shows have been stepping back and saying, now, wait a minute. We've told you what the news is. How does this fit within a pattern? Where are things going? What is now happening? And nobody's doing that. We're the only ones. And you're the only ones watching us. Just the three of us, Mike and me and just you. Okay? And we're the only ones who care about what's happening with local politics. Just us.
And I'm just faking it.
Yes, right. And he was recorded earlier anyway. I'm just cutting it in afterwards. Right. It's a highly edited show. And so we're going to start off with something I think is cutting edge news. Here it is. Ah, okay. Now we're going to have new minimum wages in the state of Oregon. And this is really, really different. They're not doing this any other place in the whole nation. It's going to be divided into 3 tiers. This is the middle tier, and it applies to us here in Josephine and Jackson County. For some reason, they have decided that we're not a cash-strapped rural county. We're not? No, no, you're something else. Really?
That's new.
So we're not included we're not included in the lower the property taxes. Yeah, we're not included with the lower wage rates that would be in cash-starved counties. We're not. No, we're in the middle, after Portland. What the? Anyway,
I don't know. I mean, what criteria are they using to base this? I mean, I don't get that.
Well, maybe because they think the governor's going to come down here and take over, and then we're not going to be, at the 85
What
cent.
would that have to do with wages, though? What, they can't come down here and raise everybody's? Well, I guess they can. Look at what they're doing here.
So you're going to want to just take a look at this. What is the current minimum wage? Mike Jones, he knows. You guys should know too. What's the current minimum wage?
Why would I know that? Because I'm pumping gas at Mobile down here for crying out loud.
I did that actually as a part-time job to help buy stuff for the kids at the high school. You imagine me pumping gas. Anyway, it's currently $9.25, and so later this year in our area, it's going to go up to $9.75, and over a period of time, it's going to get all the way up to $13.50. This means that we would be the one state of all 50 plus the territories that has the highest minimum wage in the entire country.
Yeah. You know what? I personally think that, unless we have a boom cycle somewhere in the midst of this time span that we're looking at, this is going to be really, really, really bad for small businesses. You're going to, what's going to happen in small businesses is they're going to have to truncate everything down and do more with less people. And it's going to stress some of those people out. And so that's going to make things hard there. And all the people that are squozing out of the job market because these businesses have to truncate everything down are going to be jobless. And that is just plain stupidity.
And what's going to happen to somebody that's right out of high school or right out of community college that doesn't have any job skills? When we were growing up, you know what they said to us. Well, where's your experience? Well, how am I supposed to get some? Well, get the experience first. Yeah, but I can't get the experience if you don't hire me. Now, here's what's going to happen in Portland. Okay, here we go with, here's what's going to happen in Portland. Portland.
The producer, he's a problem.
So they're going to end up $14.75 eventually. Yeah. Now, this is not happening immediately.
So
that's where they are.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the impact on us.
Yeah, you know what? This is like people trying to fajiggering with the economy. See what they're trying to do? They're trying to make things better. They're trying to redistribute wealth and make things better for the people that are on the lower end of the spectrum. This is what they call the soft bigotry of low expectations, where you just say to people, well, I know that you're not capable of anything more than a minimum wage job, so we're going to make a minimum wage job livable. You're never supposed to stay there. And listen, I'm a radical. I'm for no minimum wage whatsoever. And you want to talk about a kid who goes in and doesn't have any job experience and he wants to gain some. Now you've created a situation where that kid can get hired. Okay. And if he's worth, if he's promising in any way, he'll move up out of there in no time at all, because his skills will be marketable to a larger number of people.
Thank you for that, Mike Jones, because that
Yeah.
is what is now going to happen to Eder Campuzano. Today at the Courier is Eder Campuzano's last day.
Mm.
Remember when we were talking about finally the end of Jim Moore? And we were saying, okay, maybe we're actually going to get some news out of this newspaper, which is the whole reason we started this whole enterprise here. This highly paid enterprise was to try to bring you some news because they were just ignoring the news. They were just, we're not going to report about that at all. So Eder Campuzano looked like he was a bright light. And I thought maybe Jules Rogers would be, but she's decided to fall right in line with the Jim Moore way of doing things at the city council. And that's why we're seeing happy, jolly articles about Dan DeYoung and other. Oh, aren't they wonderful? But at least Eder Campuzano, most of the time, was actually covering the news and bringing out stuff that probably didn't make his editor that happy, which was looking into the background. Well, this article right here is almost certainly, there might be something over the weekend. This may be the last time that we see an article from Eder Campuzano. And what is this about? We cover political news here. Candidates' political ad removed. What political ad are we talking about here that was removed from Hidden Valley High School? Well, sorry, here it is.
Oh yes, I think I saw this on Facebook, and
It's a Ron Smith
yeah,
sign, not Raymond Smith, Ron Smith.
Right. Well, you know, I think that people, you know, don't know what the laws are, and so they, you know, do stuff like this. And
His sign was not against the law. He paid $200 to place this sign at Hidden Valley High School so that people would see this. It's not against the law, but it is against school policy, apparently, to do such a thing. Okay, what is against the law?
Now, to do such a thing in what regard?
To put that up on their wall, because I guess they were asleep.
Because it's political, or
because they're supposed to approve this stuff, and apparently from what I've been able to gather, the coach said, "Oh yeah, not a problem," and probably should have checked with this. I mean, when I was in school, guess what? I started a little student newspaper. Well, of course I did, right? And we would rate teachers and things like that. Oh, buddy.
Yes, man.
They didn't like that. Well, we never said anything rude about them, but well, except maybe for, the guy kind of drones on in a monotone, that kind of stuff. Well, we've got some candidates who do that, but they didn't like that. And so freedom of speech and teaching us all about the First Amendment was not part of what they were teaching in our school.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. So that was down in California back in the 1900s when most of you went to school too. And so they didn't like that kind of stuff. So now that was Ron Smith. Now Bill Hunker did something that was illegal. And he since remedied that just yesterday. And Bill Hunker declared his candidacy yesterday. And yesterday, his first sign went up in Maryland. So I called Bill and I said, Bill, I like you. You know that I do. I have respect for you. But this sign is illegal. You can't put up a sign until March 1. I mean, they need to have some kind of rules, and that's the rule. No. I know what the rules are, and I also didn't do it. And Ron Smith is saying he didn't place this sign. Right, don't know anything about it. Why? It has my name on it? Why? What a surprise. And so Bill Hunker said, no. He says, I know this. Bill's a good guy. I know this. I ran the Cheryl Walker recall campaign. Really? Do tell. Okay. But he says, no, I know what you can do. So I said, Bill, I think you're going to want to look into this. And about an hour and a half later, I got an email apologizing, and he's going to go take the sign down. Didn't know anything about the sign, but he's going to take it down.
These are hardly capital crimes, but
they are not. But we cover politics.
It's worth noting if you're a candidate out there that don't put your signs out until March 1st.
It's only worth noting in relationship to something like Art Harvey, who was the county clerk, who would tell everybody what the rules were and say, stick to these rules, and then he would promptly break his own rules, our rules, the state's rules, the county's rules. He was breaking them, and we have proof of that, of course. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't the case, but he would put out signs where you're not supposed to and when you're not supposed to, and who's going to say something? He was the clerk. So the only reason I even bring this up is not because I'm not running against either one of these guys. What do I care? Because this is a show about politics. And if other people like Mark Seligman did in the past, he'd see a bunch of signs. Mark's run a number of times, and he'd see a bunch of signs, and he'd go over and put his sign there. It's not okay to do that, Mark. I would say, hey, I heard you did. Yeah. Well, other people have said. I said, Mark, they probably, or they should, ask for permission. Well, I did it. If they can do it, I can do it. I said, no, that's not what the rule is, bud. You're supposed to ask for permission to put something on somebody's property. Well, I should get to also. Well, maybe, but you should ask for permission. Well, I'm not taking it down.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, okay. It goes to, and Mark's signs were taken down by other helpful people. It just goes to being, are you going to follow the charter? Are you going to follow state rule? I swear to uphold. Are you going to really do it? Or are you just going to do what's convenient for you? So Bill thought he knew what the rule was, and Ron Smith was not breaking any rules that he knew. And so people are going to be watching, and they're going to send us pictures, and they're going to say something to us because we cover political news.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Okay.
So and apparently we're the sign Nazis. I guess, you know.
But I think, again, I think it comes down to, are you going to obey the rules or not? Or are you not going to obey the rules? If you're going to hold up your hand and swear to obey the rules, are you going to do so? See, Keith Eck and Cheryl Walker think that having a meeting to talk about county business behind closed and locked doors, is perfectly okay. And apparently so does Wally Hicks, our county legal counsel. It is not okay.
I would hardly put that in the same category.
It's not the same category, but it's the same general idea. Are you going to stick by the rules, or are you not going to stick by the rules? I intend to stick by the rules, and if somebody doesn't want to stick by them, then I'm going to very calmly give them a call, like I did with Bill, and I'm going to say, now, it ended up worse for Ron Smith because it was a third-page article in the Courier.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Hey, tell me something, Dale. Do you have a link or something that you could send to people if they wrote us an email at badcounty@cpros.com as to what the rules are? Is there an elections division that has a link to the rules as to signs, or is that just something that you talk to the recorder's office about or something?
There are indeed rules, and yes, running or not, we know what the rules are. In the past, what I've done, what we've done, is whenever there was an election, we would keep track of these kinds of things and pass them out to any candidate that wanted them or any citizens that wanted them. We're a political show. Of course we do that. And so
if you have any questions as to the rules, if you're running, send an email to badcounty@cpros.com, and Dale will regale you with his extensive knowledge on the topic.
It's one of the things I do. That's correct. I will regale you, and then you will be clothed in regalia as our imperial court is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I told you already that I took that graphic just for graphic continuity, and I made one of my own. And here's some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight on the fascinating subject of pattern recognition and trend analysis. Woohoo! And here's the things that we've been seeing recently. There's been an escalating intolerance by the citizens of bad ideas, and boy, there are a lot of them. There's been a real hatred, has been shown many times by the city council and by the county commissioners, a hatred for the public. I use that word hatred, boy, I mean it. There's been a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of pressure to push forward very quickly with more business as usual. There's been this tendency to say anything at all to get your way, like, you don't have that on tape. Yes, we do. No, you don't. No, you don't. Wait a minute. And then there's real no coverage of the news. There's really none. I mean, when you look at KJO, you don't even know what's going on with a lot of these stories. And I don't mean tiny little stupid stories like where somebody put their sign. That's tiny and stupid. It's only here because, well, only in the Courier also, because I don't know why they did that story. That's a little weird. But we do it because we cover politics. Of course we do it. Who the heck else is going to do it? So these are some of the things that that we're going to be looking at on this show. Hello, thank you very much. So one of them is 3453, the emergency, which is 3453. And we've said here on this show that a close vote and commissioners with nothing left to lose, and we get 3453. Mike? What you're feeling about that, bud? That's what we're doing. We're going back and forth here.
Okay, what's my? Repeat that. What's my feeling?
3453, and the theory that we have, that I have, that we have, that under a state of emergency, all it takes is a close vote, and we're done.
Yeah, I suspect that that's true. You know, I know that after years of frustration and desire on the part of you know, everybody downtown, and you saw in the mayor's you know, that was the end of November, I believe it was, when their monthly meeting. Hey, they must have had a monthly meeting since then. We should be going back through that. And
They had one Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Well, awesome. That will be fodder for a future show. In any event, it was very, very clear that the city council and at least Cheryl Walker, if not the other two, are all pretty frustrated that they have not been able to get one by us. And so they're going to do it by any means necessary, I guess. And that's what 3453. That's the real threat of 3453.
That's correct. Okay, here's another one tossing out. They're not necessarily in any particular order. Wally Hicks, the legal counsel, says, I'll try not to be too clear or too precise about the wording of this this ballot question.
Well, gosh, you know,
I think he may regret having said that, Mike.
I'm fighting for a different way to spin that. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if he meant that as, you know, because we're only first drafting this and we're going to get more precise here later. I don't know what the heck that meant. You know, I hate to, you know, they wish they weren't inclined to be saying stuff like that. They are, but I wish they weren't. And,
sometimes in the little back room, I know they're talking to the camera. I know that they are, and you guys can see that, and we've mentioned it.
No,
other times they seem to forget that camera is there. I guess maybe he thinks if he's got his back to the public, he's putting his back to us, Mike, that if he does that, he can say stuff like, I'll try not to be too clear.
Boy.
Brother, that's the saddest thing that's happened in the last year. Is the turning of legal counsel Wally Hicks. He made up his mind. I guess he was going to have to, Mike. I think he was just going to have to make the decision. We talked with them about this. Are you going to go with the public who elected you, or are you going to go with the inside courthouse crowd? And he's made his decision.
Well, you know what? Listen, it's very clear that this is a phenomenon that happens in all levels, all different ways in government. You know, whether you're getting elected as the city dog catcher or whether you're the president of the United States, or actually a better analogy would be somewhere in Congress or the Senate or something. You come in with this ideological purity and you walk out a pragmatic business person who understands that your business is being reelected, and you know, you're just about staying there for the longest period of time and you know, cooperating to make deals. And
It's collaboration
yeah,
in the same way that France did with Nazi Germany. That's my opinion.
something like that. Yes, I think that's a fair analogy.
Wow, I thought it was over the top on that one, but okay, I agree with you. I think it is a fair analogy, or I wouldn't have said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one that fits in with this same general theme is to push on levy 2017. Walden said he's heard from local leaders who want the SRS payments to stop.
I'm just incredulous about that. I'm amazed that anybody would say something so stupid, because why would you want it to stop? I mean, I understand why the local people here want it to stop, because they want to pass a levy, but do they think that the levy is going to put them in a better place than they were with SRS? And I can't see that right now. I mean, it's a pretty hefty increase that they have to get past us in order to eclipse what we were getting with SRS. And I'm not advocating SRS. I think SRS is crap. I think it's an excuse.
But it is a contract. We have a contract.
Well, SRS is not really O&C. It's not the same thing.
It's the way they implemented O&C, and the reason they put it on that and this helium bill thing is because they knew that it wouldn't pass if it was all by itself, because there's Eastern senators and all that say, well, screw those people out in the West. Honestly, that's what they say. And so they put it onto something else that they want to happen, that the Eastern senators want to happen, so that it rides along with it. It's a rider.
Yeah, but you're talking about SRS, and SRS never existed before the mid 90s. And that was a product of the Northwest Forest Plan, and them disconnecting us from direct timber revenue. And
correct.
And if we went back to timber revenue and we were getting paid on that, that would be a hell of a lot better than the taxation that they're planning. So I think it's pure idiocy to say, don't pay us what you owe us, make us bilk our own people for that money. That is essentially, if you want to break that down into what it really means. And the local people asking for their senators to do that, they're saying, hey, stop giving us money because we want to screw our own people over to get that money instead. And then as soon as we get money from them, then we're going to come back to you and want some more SRS money, after we've already screwed these people over for more money. Because, and listen, I'm more and more convinced of it all the time. You know what they're after? There's an unfunded liability here. There's a deficit in the funding of PERS, and it has to be. It's got to be addressed at some point in the future. And this is what they're looking at. They need to get a fair chunk of money more from us, and then they'll go crying back to government for say, okay, now you can let us have the flow of that again. And listen, these
never enough money. It's never going to be enough money.
Right. And there's no reason why the senators would not collude with local officials on that, because they're in the pockets of the union as well. So this is all going to be a collaboration, cooperation, coordination, maybe. Who knows? All the same.
Under the category of say anything to get your way, which is over my shoulder, here's a quote. I know this quote's right because we got it from the tape. This is a quote that we have from Simon Hare. Secure rural schools has expired as of October 1st, 2015. What do you think about that quote, Mike?
I think bite me. Okay. The O&C hasn't expired. Deal with it. Okay. There's a contract there. Deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, then deal with the political repercussions, but I'm sorry, I'm not giving any money to you, because guess what? You haven't been doing our bidding. You're doing your own bidding. So that's what I
Herman
think about.
Bertschiger says that there's no consensus in the county about property taxes, and that he's going to travel all over the county to try to find out, to try to find a consensus and come up with a price which we're all willing to pay.
Well, there's a website that has the consensus on it. It's run by the county recorder's office, and it has all the election stats for the last 20 years. So you can go there and look at what the consensus is. And the consensus is everything that you've pitched to us so far is more than we're willing to pay.
Right.
So deal with
it. Here's the name of one of the things that we put up. Are SRS payments really secure? Senator Merkley predicts a continuing fight, but no doom and gloom.
You know what though?
Why don't they ever quote this guy?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, they're dealing with a different thing. I mean, here they are. They're standing in front of the public who wants to hear that there's more SRS payments coming. So, you know, the fact that a politician would tell you, you know, I expect to fight tooth and nail for your SRS money. And I'm sorry, I don't buy into it. Not only that, there's a room full of school officials that love that money when it comes in every year.
It is true that from every day that Simon Hare's been in office for 5 years, and well before that, they always said SRS is over, it's over, it's over, it's over. He said that it expired October 1st of last year. That it expired already. And always the senators say, no, we're going to keep fighting, and always we get the money. Now we're getting less, but it's part of the contract. And of course they don't want to spend anything, and of course they're dragging their feet, but they always do it. So if we could roll the clock back, and we can because we have the tape, and play something from 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, Simon Hare and the others are saying all the time, oh, this is definitely last year. Oh, this is that. This is the cliff. Now it's really the cliff. No, as Judy Ahrens would say, it's really, 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 really the cliff. No, it's not.
Yeah. So, listen, and this cliff that they're describing is imaginary to begin with. It's a cliff of their own making. You know, all they would have to do to completely rectify this situation is just hold to the contract that they are obligated to. Listen, you know, if government isn't supposed to be obligated to anything any agreement that they make, if the Constitution is not a social contract, if the ONC Act doesn't mean anything, then why should anything mean anything? You know, why should we drive 35 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone? Why not go 85 if we want to? I mean, what's the point of it? So listen, in order to you know, stave off mass civil disobedience, perhaps they should just look into following what they're contractually obligated to.
Well, what they said in a recent meeting in the little back room is, we need to watch out for the storm that's coming here. And they alluded to this at the weekly business session too, because they have said, the commissioners have said, we're headed toward a Malheur County kind of confrontation here, because people are upset with SRS payments and with the county commissioners and with the way that things are going.
Wow. As Simon Hare would say, that's rather insightful.
Yes.
You know, they're telegraphing something that, I mean, we haven't said that we're going to do anything. There hasn't been, we're not going to, you know, take over City Hall or you know, this is stupid.
Well, I mentioned you, Mike, off the air at the end of last night's show. Let's suppose the governor comes in here and declares a state of emergency. It's the governor that declares it, because the commissioners and the head of the police and all the rest of these people, Herman Bertschiger, all the rest of them, they're saying it's an emergency, it's an emergency. They declare a state of emergency, okay? Under an emergency, if you've got two people, and anybody that watches the show, that are kicking up against the governor of the state, and this secure emergency, aren't we then enemies of the state?
Enemies of the state. Possibly. What do they do to get rid of that? Give you an enema, or
yes, probably.
You know, and you know, I don't quite see it the same way, and I know that you're making you know, equations between you know, the Malheur County, the Malheur wildlife rate. Yeah, right. And you know, Lavoy Finicum and all that kind of stuff. I don't see it that way. I mean, I would hope. We have not been violent. We have not tried to occupy anywhere. We're not doing anything like that. So that's really stretchy. And the only thing that's happened in the last couple of years that they could point to being anywhere close to that would be the Sugar Pine Mine security operation.
There you go.
Yeah, but for crying.
I'm not making this up. 2 of the 3 commissioners are saying this, and the third one's asleep. Yes, that's what they're saying, that this could possibly be leading to that. Of course they're worried. Look, the 2 of them, they have nothing.
SRS money. I mean, for crying out loud, I don't care if they shut the doors downtown. It's not going to affect me in the slightest. Really?
No, because they're going to press for the governor saying it's an emergency. And they're going to do this without our permission. Of course they're going to. Who in their right mind would think that if this vote came out even close to 50-50, that Cheryl wouldn't pull the trigger? All she needs is 2 votes. She just needs her and Keith, or the 3 of them. They all want this. They can't win. They cannot win the election, so they're going to cheat.
Right. And I understand that. Let's understand something. Let's make something perfectly clear here. We are not suggesting or planning or anything that anything take place. Listen, this is a political battle, okay? And if they're saying, if they're trying to telegraph that the other side is going to do some crazy thing for which they will need, you know, military style confrontation. That's just insanity, because you know what's going to happen to me when they come down here to do whatever they're going to do. I go on with my day. You know, I have no choice but to deal with. I'm anchored here. You know, I have property here. I have business here. I have to continue to go on. This is a political battle. Has nothing to do with you know, armed resistance or anything like that. I think these people are their heads are spinning weird or something here.
Well, they absolutely
you know, I don't see any of that.
Over my shoulder that the people are the enemy. Good example.
Oh, there's no question about that.
The mayor, Dan DeYoung. What's that guy's name? I can never remember his name. The guy with the bald head. Nothing wrong with bald head. On the city council.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They all hold the public in general, not just me, not just Mike, but the public in general in the lowest possible esteem. I mean, here they've got 3 hours of people coming up saying we're totally for law enforcement. We don't like a grants pass sales tax. And Dan DeYoung's summation of that was nobody wants law enforcement. Roy Lindsay says, try to talk with these people, and they just say, no, and they're not listening to you. They just got their fingers in there. No. You know, that's really insulting, and that's not true. And they are convinced that this is the case. They talk to each other. We've shown you the tape of them talking with you and talking with Cheryl. Oh, well, they still got their hands. No, we don't. They have their hands out, and they want all these free things. Yes, yeah, and Walker's grinning. Yeah, no, we don't.
Yes, but we have to be very, very careful not to get confused, because in all of this talk about the emergency law enforcement funding, what they're really thinking is that you know, PERS is getting out of control, and we got to get some money in here to fill the coffers. That's right. What's going on. You know, this is, it's not a law enforcement emergency to us, because that doesn't exist. We proved that. And it's not a lot of law enforcement emergency to them. This is an economic emergency for them. They need to fund. Listen, it's very, very clear. All you have to do is look at the math. PERS is unsustainable. And if they do not start taxing us at a much higher rate in a sustained fashion over a series of years, their retirement program gets nuked. That's what's happening here. And so that's the emergency that they're pursuing. And that's,
well, we all try to talk to them. We all try to talk to him, and Walker just laughs, and she says, as far as input from the public, that you get everything from the impossible, it starts with the impossible, and then it gets worse, to the bizarre.
Yes.
That's what they say. DeYoung, he doesn't need feedback because he's just as right now as he was about a city sales tax.
Right.
The city decides to that you're going to have to pay a fine first, and then you can appeal it because there's some positives in that. The smoke jumpers are threatened with board retaliation because they were backing the people out in the IV instead of the politicians. They're saying, well, they have violated their lease. No, they haven't.
Well, yeah, but even that is not a clear representation of what happened there, because I was there for at least one of those meetings, and it was a venue for people from the public to come in and say what they felt about the situation.
Right.
It was not at all clear that the smoke jumpers were saying that's these are, that's their opinion. Hey, come on out and help us, nuke this idea of having the
absolutely
Erickson air crane out there. They were just a venue to have the meeting.
So what the rule here that applies is, it's like the guy he's looking for his screwdriver, right? He said, well, I thought you said you lost your screwdriver over there. Well, I think I did, but the light is better over here. So it's the same thing with these guys. They can't jump all over and retaliate easily against the public out in the IV. Well, although Larry Graves said he wants to spank the public. But they can against the smoke jumpers because they have a lease. The light's better over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's retaliation.
Yeah.
It is retaliation. We get people, just happened again today. I'm talking with this lady. She says, wow, boy, I'm so glad you did this story where you were talking a little bit about the clerk and everything. I know some stuff about the clerk. And I said, okay, are you willing to tell us any details? Well, yeah, I used to work there, but in the courthouse in general. But so I told him the story about Doug Deakins, and how Doug was the sixth person to talk to me, just to me, about stuff that Simon Hare was doing. By the way, when does he start his inpatient treatment? Look like that's never going to happen, doesn't it? What happened to that story, Daily Courier?
Yes. Yeah, that is interesting.
And so, but she wasn't willing to step forward, and Doug Deakins was brave, although there were a couple of people on Facebook that said, well, he's just doing it for the publicity. Are you kidding me?
He's not exactly been riding that popularity wave since then, so I guess they were wrong about that.
Unlike the guy that said he was going to do the recall against Simon Hare, who was trying to ride a popularity wave, and now when people say to him simply, hey, how many signatures do we have so far? Well, F you and F this, and I'm not F and A. You sound like Larry Graves.
That's a really, really, really sad story, and I just hope that we're not fooled by that in the future.
Well, there was a chance the first time around when we were recalling Cheryl Walker, and I sat down with the DOS group I told you about. Ward Ockenen was the main problem with this, and I said, I think that we should give the public the opportunity to recall 0, 1, 2, or 3 of these guys. We can do this because we've done more signatures than that in the past. And he said, I don't like it. We can trust Simon Hare. So we can work with Simon Hare. Simon Hare's okay. Well, and then what he did was he put up Simon Hare's signs on his property at M Street and the Parkway. He's a Simon Hare backer. And now Mark Kelsey, the guy that said, well, I'm going to run this recall, there's a second chance that we had to recall Simon Hare. It's been shunted off to the side. Was it done on purpose? Might as well have been, given the results. So you'll soon see that that property on M Street and the Parkway is going to have signs for Bill Hunker, I like Bill, and Joseph Rice. From a Simon Hare backer. So if you love Simon Hare, there you go. This is a political show. I can say that. It's true. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm not necessarily sure that because and I'm speaking hypothetically.
Yes, sir.
That if I was an Obama supporter in 2008 and then I changed my mind and supported somebody else in 2012, I don't know that necessarily we can paint the person supported in 2012 the same way that you can paint the person supported in 2008. And
well, here's one of the suppositions about that. If you want someone to work with one of your very favorite commissioners, are you going to be backing somebody that you think is going to get along with the guy and has something in common with them? Is this crazy for me to suggest?
Well, okay, and that might be logical. I'd be interested in what Ward Recogn has to say about whether or not he still supports Simon Hare.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask around and see if we can get something from it. It's very much like this thing with Lily Morgan. I like Lily. I like the stand that she took about it.
This is a flog the candidates night.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's a political show. Now, so she has said that she would love to see Dan DeYoung run because they have a lot in common. Dan DeYoung is one of the primary supporters of a property tax and also the grants pass sales tax. Although Lily took the opposite opinion about the grants pass sales tax, she's always supported a property tax. And all of her biggest supporters are property tax fanatics.
Okay.
So but what does that mean about her?
Okay. So if you're going to mention that, yes. You also should mention it the same because, you know, a lot of this is coming from the show that we did with her. We did an interview with her for about an hour. And yes. And we did ask her if there was somebody that you know, would like to be serving with, you know, sort of the gang of two to, you know, if people have some ideology that they want to forward, it's easier to do that with a partner going into the commissioner's situation than it is, you know, slogging it out on your own. So we asked her, you know, what if you were going to go in there and you wanted to have somebody in there with you, who would that person be? And her answer was Dan DeYoung. Well, it didn't mean anything to me at the time. Since everything I've learned about Dan DeYoung, this was not a good thing to, you know, and not a good person to partner up with. And then, but also on our program, we asked her about her view on property taxes going forward. And she said, no, she would not pursue that going forward because she sees that that's not the direction of things. However, it is certainly a valid thing to understand where she comes from and what that means. So,
also the fact that people putting money into her campaign and supporting her are all property tax fans. Why would they do that? That's why I brought it up. Why would Ward Recogn back in these guys if he likes Simon Hare? And why would she say that about Dan DeYoung? And why would her supporters be this? I know what she said, and I said I like her, but it doesn't mean that, given the history that she has and the current backers that she has, what does this equal? You don't need to be a mathematics major to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're not getting an argument here on that. I think that's.
Well, that'll be the first time. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Note the date and time.
Yeah, right. Now, one other wanted to just be sure to talk about. I alluded to this a little bit earlier on our graphic idea that was taken from the TV station. Give them credit. Um, we've talked about escalating intolerance of bad ideas by people of bad ideas like the replacing the water plant, and we've talked about this a lot on our show about saying that even strawberry juice is tobacco, and a lot of other crazy things that they've said. Yes, you said you don't like this branding project. Well, we're going to do it quietly anyway. That there's a real hatred. I think hatred is the right word for the public because they're not doing as they're instructed. There's a pushing forward with business as usual, like this $135,000 a year for water that didn't test out to be the case, and they still want to give the guy the $77,000 check. It was already cut. It was already cut. And if Simon Hare hadn't said something about the check, we wouldn't even know that. Oh, well, we cut that check already. You did? And saying anything to get your way. The last one is no coverage of the news. Mike, yeah. You want to take that one on, bud?
Yeah, that applies to the Courier and to KJO to some degree.
Some degree.
I think we've taken over in the political news category. So I just, but they may not be on board with it, but they don't really have a choice at this point.
They don't. And it's not just politics like putting up goofy signs or something like that. It's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the case for the city, the biggest financial project they've ever got is just tens of millions of dollars for something that you would think would be avoidable. You think it would be avoidable.
Yeah, or at
Where's
least
the
have
story?
some degree of interchangeability for parts within a functioning water plant, and so I don't know that this is ongoing. It's going to be an ongoing story.
When we on this show revealed, just talking about money now, there's plenty of other revealed that we had gone $100,000 over because the number of floors at the Dimick Tower were counted as 3 instead of 4. Oh no, that's not true, but that's what you said at the time, Simon. And that's what your contractor said. Okay, $100,000 over. Oh well, that was because of the federal government. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Trying to rewrite history when we've indicated to you about nearly $700,000 that they had committed to this idea of this bogus water idea. Okay, when we reveal to you that they're talking about taking out the water plant and replacing it for tens of millions of dollars, it could be $40–50 million at a place where you would think, no, what do other cities do when their filters run out? After it's 8 years, now it's 12 years, and it's going to take several more years. Well, what do? Maybe these cities do last longer than 8 years. They obviously do because it's been 12. Well, what do? Is every city just going to build a new water plant? Really? The ashtray's not working in this car. We need a new car. No, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
So one goofy idea after another. But where is this in the Courier? They live here, don't they?
You know what? Listen, any massive spending project on the part of government, I'm a little dubious of. Just as soon as I hear about it, I want to know.
But you have to hear about it. You're right, but you have to hear about it. You can't do anything about it. You might not be able to do anything about it anyway, but you can't even do anything about it unless you hear about it. And if you're going to read the Courier and KJO, you're not going to hear about it. Why are they not reporting this stuff? But they had a guy that was just about county. Now they've got this woman that just works with the city. Why is she not reporting these things? Where are the articles in the Courier? Oh, there's a little bit here and a little bit there, but Really? Where's the story about what the heck is going? You see these things in the Courier. What's happening with the striping on the something road? Okay, well, that's really important. Where's the story? Why couldn't we replace these? Why can't we shut down the water plant for part of a day to replace the filters? Why, if we got to build something, why don't we build just the new concrete box with the new filters? We have to build a whole new water plant. Why?
You know what? Ordinarily, I might complain about something like this, but they're ceding territory to us, and so it's our job to pick up the ball and run with it. And listen, you know what? If the Courier doesn't know who they're working for, then they deserve to go out of business. So just let them.
Neither do the commissioners, and neither do the county counselors. None of them know who they're actually working for. They're working for their own staffs. They're working for their bosses. They are not working for the people. This ought to be clear to everybody. That's what we do for free.
Yeah. And, I was looking at that minimum wage chart with a little bit of envy there that, this burger flipper is going to be making, $9.25 an hour or something like that. And I'm looking at that, or $9.75. I'm looking at that thinking, wow, that's how the other half lives.
It's going to happen by this summer in July.
Yes. And, is there some sort of child labor law or something I could pursue about this? Because, I'm getting sick of this.
Child labor law?
Mm-hmm. The wages I'm getting paid here.
Right. The wages of sin is death, Mike.
Right,
okay.
Yes.
So
that's good.
What's happening tomorrow? What's going to happen tomorrow is nothing. But what's going to happen Wednesday? Sorry. What's going to happen Wednesday?
Aren't cartoons on Saturday?
Yeah. Yes. Cartoons are on Saturday. What's going to happen Wednesday will be the commissioners will come in and announce their grand plan for putting the advisory question on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be at 9 a.m. in the Ann Basker Auditorium. We'll be there. We'll tell you what's said. I may very well, I don't know, this is very unusual, get up and say something about this, because we don't just
never happens.
We comment on the news. They hate it when we comment on it. They hate it when I comment on the news. And we've got their number. 474-5221. Extension 2. Thank you, everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.